Chapter 2, Developing Awareness of Our Personal Truths. In order to take a closer look at the rules we live by, and perhaps change some of them, we need to first have awareness about what those rules are. We could gain awareness of our rules by slowing down and noticing the words that are playing in our minds. There are some words that often come along with our rules. As you go through your day, listen out for when these words are playing in your mind. When you hear these words or phrases, you're close to a rule that you live by. Here are some words to look out for. Number 1, should. The word should is very often part of a rule. For example, I should be doing this. This is how it is. This is how it should be, or it should be different. That's not how they should be doing it. When Esther's husband came home 15 minutes late, she said, "This is crazy. I was waiting and I really did not like that." The startled look on her husband's face made Esther even more upset. "Why are you acting as if you did nothing wrong?" Later, Esther thought about what she'd been thinking. She found her rule. A husband should come home on time. Coming home late is a sign of abandonment. And that was her rule. The next example is if and then. Many of our rules come up in our minds as cause and effect statements. We say or think, if this, then that. This set of words together, if and then, is always part of a rule we believe to be true. For example, if he forgot my birthday, then he doesn't care much about me. If she said that, she's a mean person. If I lost the key, I'm a real loser. Nechami came home from the wedding in a bad mood. She listened to what was going on in her mind and she found her rule. If she didn't care enough to take a picture with me, she doesn't consider me a close friend. She kept listening, becoming aware of her thought pattern. This is what she heard. And to me, she is a good friend, so all this time I had it wrong. I'm an idiot. And that was her rule. Next example is definitive words. When we use strong, definitive words, there's a rule behind our behavior or behind our thoughts and feelings. For example, I must, I have to, everyone knows that, everyone has that, nobody has this. These are all definitive words, and definitive words means that we're coming up with a rule. The Weber family was enjoying dinner when the phone rang with a call for Mrs. Weber. Signaling to her children to wait, Mrs. Weber locked herself into her room for over an hour. When she returned to the table, nobody was there anymore. Her teenage daughter was annoyed. "I did not appreciate having to take care of everyone," she said. Mrs. Weber told her daughter that it was a very important phone call. Her daughter was not satisfied with the answer, and she said, "That's what you told me yesterday and the day before and every day for the last 3 months." Mrs. Weber thought about what was going on. Her friend Leah was going through a difficult time and needed her support. Mrs. Weber found her rule. When my friend needs me, I must stop whatever I'm doing and help her. And that was her rule. The next category is not specific words, but it's intense emotions. Behind every intense emotion, there's always a rule. Whenever you find yourself feeling very strongly about something, it's because a rule was either honored or violated. When you feel strong, positive emotions, it's because a rule that you believe is being honored. Things are working out, at least in this moment, in this way, as you believe they should be working. You approve of the behavior or events that you're witnessing. And when you feel strong negative emotions, unpleasant emotions, it's because your rule is being violated. Things are working out differently from how you believe they should be working. You're not approving of the behavior or situation that you're witnessing. To discover your rule, ask yourself, what makes this situation so wonderful or terrible or hurtful? Fill in with the emotion you're experiencing. What does this situation mean to you? What does it say about you or your future? Your answer to this question is your rule. For example, Suri was feeling very upset after her sister didn't respond to her texts for an entire day. Suri knew that her sister had spent an hour talking to her other sister. So Suri asked herself, what is so upsetting about not getting a response to my text? Her instinctive answer to this question was, it's mean. But then she thought, what does this behavior mean to me? And she realized, not getting a response means that I'm not important enough to be responded to. And if someone doesn't respond to my text, it means that they don't care about me. And there was her rule. Another example is Bella was deeply offended when her husband came home without the oil she had asked him to buy. She asked herself what was so upsetting to her, and the thought that immediately came to her was, he is completely irresponsible. Then she thought about what that fact meant to her, and she concluded, his lack of responsibility means that I have no real partner in my life. It means that I carry the burden of my family alone. Awareness of your rules is the beginning of all change. It's where the light turns on. When you have awareness of the rules you live by, you could suddenly see the path you're walking on. Until then, it's as if you're walking with blindfolds. Sometimes the path is smooth, but other times you get bumped and bruised, and you're unable to see the connection between what you know in your mind and how you're feeling in your heart. So slow down, listen to your thoughts or to your words, and start becoming of the rules that influence your emotions. Don't try to edit your thoughts, just observe them. One of my children once asked me, "What's worse than finding a cockroach in your food?" Honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse in my plate. They laughed and said, "Oh yes, finding half a cockroach is much worse." I agreed. So don't worry about finding out that you believe ideas that seem childish, absurd, or ugly. It would be a lot worse to be eating them and living by them. Until you're aware of your rules, you're controlled by them. Once you know what they are, you could challenge them. You could change them. You could upgrade your values, your rules, and your beliefs. And with that, you will radically upgrade the quality of your life. The main idea of this chapter is this. Our personal truths have such a powerful impact in our lives, but since we are so busy and our minds are so noisy, we're not so aware of what's going on in our minds. Let's become aware of the beliefs and values that drive our moods and behaviors. Reflect and connect. Think about a recent experience in which you felt upset or disempowered. Which beliefs played out in your experience? What were you thinking? Which beliefs or values were violated? What are some of your beliefs about marriage? What should every caring partner do for their husband or wife? When a spouse doesn't do that, what does it say about the relationship? What does it say about you? What do you believe about your children's behavior? When your child is not cooperative, what does it say about your relationship? What does it say about you? And here's an exercise to grow your awareness. At first, when you ask yourself what you're thinking, you might come up with a blank note. A lot of times people say, "I don't know what I'm thinking." If that's your answer, don't let that stop you from asking yourself again. Ask yourself again. The more you ask yourself what you're thinking, the more you listen, the more you'll start noticing your thought patterns. And eventually you will know. Awareness of our thoughts and beliefs is like a muscle. As we exercise it, we develop more clarity and insight.